There's a noticeable shift happening in modern culture. People are returning to religion, traditional values, and structured belief systems. In a time when Western societies are increasingly individualistic, chaotic, and detached from historical roots, many are searching for meaning, stability, and community. Figures like Andrew Tate, for example, have publicly embraced Islam, citing its clear moral structure, gender roles, and emphasis on discipline as reasons for their conversion. This isn't an isolated case. It reflects a broader movement of men and women rejecting the excesses of modernity in favor of tradition. But this return to religion isn't just limited to Islam or Christianity. There's also a growing interest in paganism, ancient European traditions, and indigenous spiritual systems. People are forming tight-knit communities, reviving forgotten rituals, and reconnecting with practices that existed long before the rise of monotheistic religions. Why? Because in an era of rapid cultural decay, many believe that tradition offers a grounding force, a way to reconnect with something timeless and stable. The modern world may push for progress and endless reinvention, but deep down, human beings crave ritual, structure, and a connection to the past. Even in the red pill community, there's an increasing awareness that traditional gender roles, marriage, and family structures were designed to create long-term stability. Many men, disillusioned by hookup culture, the erosion of masculinity, and the breakdown of the family unit, are looking toward religion and traditional moral frameworks to reclaim a sense of purpose. Masculinity thrives in structured environments, and religious traditions have always provided a clear path for men to develop discipline, strength, and leadership within their families and communities. On the other hand, feminism and modern progressive ideals have pushed against these structures, advocating for sexual liberation, career-first lifestyles, and an egalitarian approach to relationships. Yet, as more women find themselves unfulfilled in casual relationships and disconnected from family-oriented values, many are also turning to religion and tradition as a means of restoring balance and long-term security. The result? A cultural divide. Those who embrace traditional values are building strong families, while those who reject them struggle with loneliness, instability, and meaninglessness. If this trend continues, we could be witnessing a major societal shift where religion and tradition regain their dominance after decades of decline. But why does religion hold such power over people's lives? It's not just about rules and restrictions. It's about psychological purpose, the ability to guide individuals toward life-affirming choices, and the creation of strong, unified communities. And that leads us to our next question. Why does religion fulfill such an essential psychological function? And what happens when it disappears? Chapter 1. Psychological Functions of Religion. Religion isn't just a belief system. It's a psychological framework that helps individuals navigate life's most complex challenges. At its core, religion provides meaning, structure, and a moral compass, guiding people toward life-affirming choices rather than self-destructive behaviors. When people abandon religion, they don't just lose faith in a higher power. They lose the mental structure that helps them manage emotions, build stable relationships, and find purpose in their actions. That's why societies that drift too far from religious values often experience higher rates of depression, anxiety, and social fragmentation. One of the most critical roles of religion is helping individuals transcend their lower impulses. Nietzsche understood this well when he spoke about how, without a strong moral system, people would default to nihilism and self-indulgence. Religion provides a long-term vision, encouraging behaviors like marriage, family building, and community involvement over short-term pleasure-seeking. In contrast, modern secular culture glorifies instant gratification, casual sex, and material excess, leaving people spiritually empty and emotionally unfulfilled. The result? A generation with no sense of purpose, drifting from one distraction to another. Rituals play a crucial role in reinforcing religious discipline and moral behavior. Structured practices like daily prayer, fasting, or attending religious services serve as psychological anchors, keeping individuals grounded and focused on something greater than themselves. Even from a scientific perspective, these rituals provide stability, routine, and community connection, all of which are essential for mental well-being. That's why people who actively participate in religious traditions often report higher levels of life satisfaction and emotional resilience. Another powerful aspect of religion is its ability to channel human instincts in a productive direction. Masculine energy thrives in purpose-driven structures, which is why religious traditions emphasize discipline, duty, and leadership. The modern rejection of religion has left many men aimless, stripped of their natural roles as providers and protectors. On the other hand, religious frameworks give men a clear mission: build, lead, and pass down values to the next generation. This is why figures like Andrew Tate and others in the Red Pill community advocate for a return to religious values, particularly in faiths like Islam, where masculine discipline and social order are reinforced. The psychological benefits of religion go beyond the individual. They extend to entire societies. A culture rooted in faith, tradition, and structure values tends to be strong, resilient, and united. Meanwhile, societies that abandon these principles fall into moral and social decay, struggling with fractured families, weak community ties, and an absence of long-term direction. But the key to religious strength isn't just belief, it's ritual. And that brings us to our next point. Why do rituals play such a vital role in religious tradition, and what happens when they disappear? Chapter 2. The Role of Rituals in Religion. Rituals are the backbone of religious tradition, community structure, and personal discipline. Whether it's baptism, marriage, prayer, fasting, or funeral rites, these rituals aren't just symbolic gestures. They serve as psychological and social anchors that help people navigate life's most important transitions. Without them, individuals often feel disconnected, unmoored, and lost in a chaotic world. This is why societies that abandon rituals tend to experience higher levels of anxiety, loneliness, and cultural fragmentation. One of the most powerful aspects of rituals is their ability to reinforce identity and purpose. A man who marries through a religious ceremony isn't just engaging in a legal contract. He's making a sacred commitment to his family, his faith, and his community. A person who fasts during Ramadan or Lent isn't just abstaining from food. They're practicing self-discipline, reinforcing their values, and aligning themselves with a greater purpose. These structured experiences create psychological clarity and make it easier for people to stay on a path of stability and fulfillment. Rituals also play a crucial role in reinforcing moral behavior and long-term thinking. In a society that lacks religious structure, people are encouraged to live for the moment, seeking pleasure, avoiding responsibility, and rejecting the idea of higher purpose. But religious traditions, through ritual and repetition, condition individuals to think beyond themselves. A man who prays daily is more likely to stay grounded in his values. A woman who grows up in a faith-centered community is more likely to prioritize family and commitment over fleeting experiences. In contrast, modern secular culture, which lacks these rituals, produces individuals who struggle with purpose, identity, and long-term satisfaction. Another key function of rituals is community bonding. In monotheistic religions like Islam and Christianity, weekly prayers and communal gatherings create a shared sense of belonging. These practices remind individuals that they are part of something bigger than themselves, a reality often missing in secular societies where people feel isolated despite being constantly connected through technology. Even in pagan traditions, communal rituals have always been essential for reinforcing cultural values, creating strong social ties, and passing down wisdom from one generation to the next. But rituals don't just help with spiritual identity. They also play a crucial role in managing one of the most powerful forces in human life: sexuality. Without religious structures guiding sexual impulses and relationships, societies quickly fall into hedonism, short-term gratification, and moral decay. And that leads us to our next point. How does religion regulate sexuality? and what happens when traditional sexual morality collapses. Chapter 3: Sexuality and Religion. Sex is one of the most powerful forces in human existence. It creates life, bonds relationships, and drives human behavior at a fundamental level. But without structure, it can also lead to chaos, instability, and societal decline. This is why every major religion has strict guidelines on sexuality, marriage, and family building. Religion doesn't suppress sex. It channels it into long-term, committed relationships that create strong families and stable communities. The alternative? A society that treats sex as a commodity, leading to broken relationships, declining birth rates, and emotional emptiness. Religious traditions emphasize that sexuality should be tied to responsibility. In Islam, Christianity, and even ancient pagan traditions, marriage was the foundation of sexual morality, providing a sacred framework for intimacy, procreation, and family stability. By contrast, modern Western culture promotes casual sex, short-term relationships, and an avoidance of commitment. The result? A generation struggling with trust issues, rising divorce rates, and the inability to form lasting relationships. What many don't realize is that free sexual expression without discipline often leads to misery rather than fulfillment. This is why traditional gender roles in religious marriage were designed to create stability. A man who follows a religious path is encouraged to develop discipline, build a household, and provide for his family. A woman raised in a faith-centered environment understands the value of commitment, loyalty, and long-term partnership. Compare this to modern feminist ideals, which promote independence at the cost of deep connection, or hookup culture, which reduces relationships to transactional pleasure. The contrast is staggering. There's also a biological and psychological aspect to religious sexual ethics. Studies show that casual sex and pornography damage the ability to form deep emotional bonds, rewiring the brain for short-term pleasure rather than long-term commitment. Many men in the red pill community recognize this, advocating for self-control, avoiding excessive indulgence, and building relationships based on respect and shared values. Religion has always provided the blueprint for this kind of structured, fulfilling life. The modern world, however, encourages the opposite: immediate gratification, emotional detachment, and the illusion of endless options. But when sexuality is removed from a moral and religious framework, the consequences don't stop at the individual level. They affect entire societies. Birth rates collapse, families disintegrate, and culture loses its foundation. This is exactly what we're seeing in the modern West, where the decline of traditional institutions has led to loneliness, weak communities, and a widespread sense of meaninglessness. And this brings us to a larger issue: how the abandonment of traditional values is leading to cultural decadence and the breakdown of stable institutions. Chapter 4: Cultural Decadence and the Decline of Traditional Institutions. Western society once thrived on strong families, religious traditions, and long-term values. Today, that foundation is crumbling. The modern world, driven by consumerism, short-term pleasure, and moral relativism, has led to a state of cultural decadence. Traditional institutions that once held communities together, marriage, family, and religious values, are being replaced by individualism, hedonism, and a rejection of long-term commitment. The result? A society in decline, struggling with loneliness, meaninglessness, and demographic collapse. One of the clearest signs of this decay is the breakdown of the family unit. Marriage rates have plummeted, divorce is skyrocketing, and fewer people are having children. Why? Because modern Western culture glorifies personal freedom over responsibility. A career-focused, hyper-independent lifestyle is sold as the ultimate achievement, while traditional family values are mocked as outdated. Yet, as more people chase individual success at the cost of stable relationships, many find themselves unfulfilled, disconnected, and longing for something deeper. Religion once provided a clear moral structure, reinforcing the importance of commitment, discipline, and self-restraint. But as religious influence fades, modern culture promotes instant gratification at the expense of long-term fulfillment. Hedonistic lifestyles are normalized, pushing people toward casual relationships, meaningless sex, and empty consumerism. This shift has created an entire generation addicted to dopamine-driven pleasures, but starved for real purpose. The irony: what was sold as freedom has led to widespread emotional and societal instability. The Red Pill community and other cultural critics often point out that modern values have weakened masculinity, destabilized femininity, and created confusion about gender roles. Without a clear framework, men are discouraged from leading and providing, while women are encouraged to delay family life indefinitely. The result is a population that struggles with commitment, trust, and the ability to build lasting relationships. And as strong families disappear, so does the very foundation of a healthy society. This decline isn't just about individual choices. It's about the collapse of an entire civilization's value system. Nietzsche famously warned that when traditional morality is abandoned, societies eventually descend into chaos and nihilism. We are now witnessing this process in real time. But the question is, can this decline be reversed? Some believe the answer lies in rebuilding traditional gender roles, embracing religion, and restoring the balance between masculinity and femininity. But how exactly did modern culture distort these roles in the first place? That's where we turn next, to the crisis of gender identity and the erosion of natural masculine and feminine instincts. Chapter 5: Masculine and Feminine Roles in Society. For centuries, masculinity and femininity existed in a structured balance. Men were builders, protectors, and providers, while women nurtured families, created stable homes, and ensured cultural continuity. These roles weren't oppressive. They were essential for the survival and stability of civilizations. But in modern Western culture, this balance has been systematically dismantled, leading to confusion, instability, and societal dysfunction. The result? A generation of men and women struggling to understand their place in relationships, family, and community. Masculine instincts, the drive to conquer, protect, and lead, have been pathologized. Men are now told that their assertiveness is toxic, their ambition is dangerous, and their desire for leadership is oppressive. Instead of being encouraged to build strong families, they are pushed toward consumerism, pornography, and purposeless entertainment. Without a clear religious or traditional framework to guide them, many men feel lost, disconnected, and lacking the discipline that past generations of fathers, warriors, and leaders once had. On the other hand, femininity has been redefined by radical feminist ideals, prioritizing career success, financial independence, and sexual liberation over family and motherhood. The idea of a woman embracing her natural nurturing role has been replaced by a model where women are expected to compete with men in every area of life. While equality of opportunity is important, the denial of biological differences and traditional feminine strengths has left many women feeling unfulfilled, overworked, and alone. Religious traditions, whether Islam, Christianity, or ancient cultural systems, provided clear gender roles that aligned with biological instincts and social stability. Men were expected to be strong, disciplined, and responsible. Women were valued for their nurturing abilities, emotional intelligence, and role in family building. The rejection of these frameworks has led to weaker relationships, rising divorce rates, and a culture where people struggle to form meaningful long-term connections. Many in the Red Pill community recognize this decline and argue for a return to traditional masculine and feminine principles as a way to restore balance. So, if the destruction of traditional gender roles has led to relationship breakdowns, family instability, and societal confusion, what's the solution? Some believe that religion and traditional morality hold the key to rebuilding what has been lost. But this discussion isn't just about gender. It's also about power, control, and the battle over sexual dynamics in modern relationships. And that's exactly where the Red Pill movement and sexual politics enter the conversation. Chapter 6. The Red Pill Community and Sexual Politics. The Red Pill community emerged as a response to the decline of traditional relationships, the erosion of masculinity, and the increasing difficulty men face in modern dating culture. At its core, Red Pill philosophy seeks to expose the harsh realities of male-female dynamics in an era where traditional gender roles have been dismantled. Men are waking up to the fact that society no longer prioritizes marriage, family, or long-term commitment. Instead, modern culture pushes short-term pleasure, female empowerment at the cost of male leadership, and a rejection of biological realities. One of the biggest critiques from Red Pill thinkers is that modern dating dynamics overwhelmingly favor women while discouraging men from embracing their natural strengths. Feminism has promoted hypergamy, the tendency for women to seek partners of higher status while disregarding men they deem average. This, combined with dating apps, social media validation, and hookup culture, has led to a small percentage of high-status men monopolizing the dating market, while the majority of men struggle to find meaningful relationships. In contrast, religious traditions historically ensured that most men had access to marriage and family, balancing the natural selection process. Another major Red Pill argument is that modern women are encouraged to prioritize career success, casual relationships, and self-fulfillment over commitment and motherhood. While this is framed as empowerment, the reality is that many women end up single, childless, and disillusioned by the time they realize they want a stable relationship. Meanwhile, men who embrace self-improvement, financial success, and disciplined masculinity are rediscovering that traditional values offer a path to long-term stability and personal fulfillment. This is why many men in the Red Pill movement turn to religion, traditional marriage, and structured gender roles as a counterbalance to modern chaos. The conflict between Red Pill philosophy and feminist ideals represents a deeper culture war, one that questions the very foundation of Western values. On one side, progressive ideology pushes for gender equality at all costs, even if it means denying biological and psychological differences between men and women. On the other, traditionalists argue that gender roles exist for a reason and that ignoring them leads to unstable relationships, declining birth rates, and societal breakdown. This debate isn't just about dating. It's about which values will define the future. Many Red Pill thinkers argue that the answer lies in a return to traditional religious structures. Faith-based communities provide moral guidelines, structured relationships, and a clear vision for masculinity and femininity. This is why Islam has been particularly appealing to men seeking order and discipline. In contrast, Western Christianity has often embraced progressive ideals, weakening its appeal to men who seek strong leadership and clear roles. But which religious framework truly aligns with natural masculine instincts? The debate between Islam and Christianity is central to this discussion, and it's a debate that highlights the deeper philosophical divide in the modern world. Chapter 7. Islam versus Christianity. The debate between Islam and Christianity goes beyond theology. It's about which system better aligns with natural masculine instincts, societal stability, and long-term success. In recent years, many men, including Andrew Tate, have publicly embraced Islam, arguing that it provides a strong moral code, clear gender roles, and a structured path for self-discipline and leadership. In contrast, Western Christianity has been criticized for becoming increasingly feminized, losing its traditional values, and failing to appeal to men seeking a framework for strength and order. One of the most striking differences between Islam and modern Christianity is their approach to masculinity and authority. Islam enforces strict discipline, daily rituals, and a clear hierarchy where men are expected to lead their households, protect their families, and embody strength. This aligns with traditional masculine instincts, offering men a clear identity and purpose. Meanwhile, many modern Christian churches have softened their stance on discipline, embraced egalitarian gender roles, and often portray Jesus in an overly pacifist light, distancing themselves from the warrior-like qualities that once defined Christian leadership. Another key distinction is the approach to marriage, family, and sexual morality. Islam strictly regulates relationships, emphasizing commitment, family building, and protection against degeneracy. Concepts like modesty, arranged marriages, and the avoidance of promiscuity are central to Islamic teachings, ensuring that women remain valued and men take responsibility for their families. Christianity, while historically upholding similar values, has seen a cultural shift toward liberalism, leading to high divorce rates, weak family structures, and a lack of enforcement of traditional moral codes. The contrast is clear. Islam actively defends its traditions, while Christianity often compromises to fit modern progressivism. This divergence is why many in the red pill community view Islam as the last stronghold of structured masculinity in religion. Figures like Andrew Tate praise Islam's unshakable stance on leadership, responsibility, and the rejection of Western degeneracy. In contrast, they argue that Christianity in the West has become diluted, failing to provide a clear sense of direction for men. That being said, Christianity in its traditional form, pre-modern liberal influence, was also a highly structured, warrior-like faith, emphasizing discipline, family, and hierarchy. Some argue that if Christianity were to reclaim these qualities, it could once again serve as a powerful foundation for masculinity. So, the question isn't just which religion is better, it's which one is willing to uphold its traditions in a world that seeks to destroy them. If Islam is attracting men seeking structure, leadership, and discipline, does this mean that Christianity needs to restore its traditional strength? Or are we witnessing a larger cultural shift where only the strongest belief systems will survive the coming societal collapse? Conclusion: where do you stand in all of this? If there's one thing history has proven, it's that societies without strong moral and spiritual foundations eventually collapse. The return to religion isn't just about faith, it's about stability, meaning, and the rejection of modern chaos. People are realizing that secularism, consumerism, and hedonism have failed to bring true fulfillment. And now, they're searching for something deeper, something timeless, something that has guided humanity for thousands of years. So, where do you stand in all of this? Are you just observing this shift from the sidelines? Or are you actively reclaiming your values, your discipline, and your connection to something greater? The truth is, if you don't build your own foundation, someone else will shape your beliefs for you. And in a world where institutions push confusion and instability, reclaiming your faith, whether in religion, tradition, or personal discipline, might be the most powerful act of resistance. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think this resurgence of faith is just a trend, or is it the beginning of a larger cultural transformation? Have you personally felt drawn back to religious or traditional values? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to know your perspective. And if you're ready to keep exploring the deep questions shaping our world, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. There's so much more to uncover, and trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next.